trying the bathroom for a change. Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. You know, it's kind of fitting actually I do it here. Absolutely sweating my whatevers off. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to pop in here and have a quick shower. I thought a nice cold shower will do it. And I was wondering why this shit wasn't actually working. Oh, let me turn this a little bit so you can actually see it. I was wondering, why the hell is this not working? And it was only when I got down to this bottom bit I found out how fucking cold it really gets. And nothing quite screams pain like having ice cold water on your back. Oh, man, that was the biggest mistake of my life. But of course you didn't come here to find out about whether I'm freezing my icicles off. No, there are people who have voted in the poll I put up today, and you guys have decided you want to see me do a video about the situation with Elon Musk. So I am a man of the people, and I will respect those wishes. The next video, though, I will be delving into my background, because there are some people who've clearly shown some interest in that, so I will do that in the next one. But as far as Elon Musk is concerned, let's first go back to Tommy Robinson, because it'll be much easier to understand if you've got some context as to how our establishment likes to proceed with these things. So first and foremost, Tommy Robinson, before he became as big as he is right now, he was being looked at by the government as more of a nuisance than anything else. Wasn't really someone they were too concerned about. He was making a name for himself, whether it's through criminal activity or whatever. I leave that for people to decide. I'm not here to debate whether or not Tommy has 10 names, or whether Tommy's a grifter, or Tommy has committed these criminal acts, or whatever, because that's not what this video is about. This video is going to be about Elon Musk, but I want to put into context what they were doing to Tommy Robinson when he started building himself up, when he was starting to become more than just a nuisance, but an actual threat to the establishment. So what they've been actively trying to do, as we all know, is they've been trying to lock Tommy Robinson up. They have repeatedly tried to attack Tommy Robinson, whether it's himself, his ex-wife, his kids, and his relatives. They went after him ruthlessly, trying to see any tiny, petty, little pathetic thing they could get him on a charge on. That way, they could discredit Tommy Robinson as a far-right, racist, football hooligan thug, blah, blah, blah. You get the picture. Now, what they would do, they would have their media just put out hit piece after hit piece like they normally do, and then some of the people who come out, like Joe Brand, for example, were trying to advocate for violence against people like Nigel Farage and Tommy by saying, why use milkshakes when you can go after them with battery acid? Which, of course, she had to apologise for. But basically, the premise of this is they hunted him before he became significant. They then hunt him as he's becoming significant, and actually encouraging violence against him and Nigel Farage, which I don't give a fuck what side you're on, quite frankly, whether it's the right side doing it to the left, or in this case the left doing it to the supposed far right. You are fundamentally wrong if you try to call for violence upon people. Simple as that. There's no two ways about this shit. It's wrong no matter what side of the spectrum you're on. But then we get to the stage where now we're in 2024, Tommy Robinson, understandably, flees the country. Because he knows damn well that if he comes here, they're going to send the boys round to arrest him. And at this point, they may as well break his fucking legs. Obviously, I don't mean that literally speaking, but I'm just saying it in the perspective of they're going to do everything they can to basically completely lock him down in jail, and probably get him in some Muslim prison where the people in there are going to kill him. And let me be clear, I'm not advocating for that shit. I am just putting it in the perspective of this is what's been happening to Tommy. They're going through this process of maliciously slandering him, attacking him, and now they're actively hunting for him. I reckon an international arrest warrant will go out for Tommy Robinson at some point, because they see him as a threat to globalism, a threat to all establishments that want to push the globalist Marxist agenda. That's where we now start to turn over to Elon Musk. Because now, while Elon Musk wasn't exactly the most popular figure, and there are some things that he has said, I believe I've even made videos about it, where I've basically disagreed with a lot of the shit that Elon Musk says. But you know what he's always going to be right on? Free speech. He is always going to be right in saying that we, as people, whether it's the American people, whether it's the French people, or whether it's Britain, we should all have total, unconditional human rights to be able to speak our rights, our minds, our opinions. Because if you go out of your way to suppress everything, you're not going to progress civilization, you're going to cause it to degenerate. We're going to go back to living in cave ages if we basically are not allowed to express what we think. Now let me be clear, freedom of speech is okay up to a point. The only point I start saying, you know what, no, they need to be cancelled, is one of two things. One, you're actively inciting violence or terrorism. And two, obviously, you're inciting terrorism or people to break the law in a significant manner. That is when I start saying, okay, you know what, their freedom of speech needs to be removed. And sometimes you could even argue against that shit, because at least then they'd be exposing themselves, and we know that the police can then take out the trash, metaphorically speaking. But the way I look at it is Elon Musk has been getting persecuted by the British establishment, much to the point now where people like Mark Rowley, people like the establishment, they are actively trying to slander his name, to make him look like the bad guy, make him look like he's far right and all that shit. But here's the thing, we don't tend to believe the mainstream media anymore. If you literally ask me to look out my window right now and you tell me the sky's blue, or sorry, the mainstream media tells me the sky's blue, I'm literally going to open the fucking window to find out myself, because I don't trust them. I think the vast majority of the British public also do not trust them. Mainstream media trust, I wouldn't be surprised if it's an all-time low right now. Frankly, it should be, considering the lies, the vitriol, and the libelous slander they have thrown out to concerned parents and patriots. But Elon Musk has had his name tarred. They have been actively attacking him. They've been attacking his beliefs. They've been saying, and this is the big one, they've been saying that he's partly responsible for stoking the riots. No, he's not. He's just providing a platform for people to speak their opinions on said riots. That is by no means inciting or instigating the riots. So what the media are doing, what career politicians are doing, and what left-wing NPCs are doing is committing libelous defamation and slander. But of course the mainstream media won't tell you this. You know the drill, folks, because say it with me, it doesn't suit the narrative. They will not tell us that they are breaking the law, or at least opening them up to a seriously huge libel case, because it would destroy all credibility they have. But then they're trying to basically build themselves up gradually. Think of like stairs up. Because they're building themselves up from simple name calling them a tinfoil hat person, going out of their way to say, oh, he's far right. Eventually, you know where it's going to lead to? Remember what I said about 5 minutes earlier, that I wouldn't be surprised if an arrest warrant gets put out for Tommy Robinson, an international one? I think that's what the British government's going to try to do with Elon Musk. Think about it. Kier the Traitor Starmer, yeah, he's not getting away from this one, let me tell you. Anyway, Kier the Traitor Starmer is actively against giving his political opponents a voice for which to stand on. We have blatantly seen that with the way he's conducted dealing with the protests, the riots that occurred. Now, there were some genuine far-right people out there, no air quotes. There were some genuine people who hijacked this and used it as an excuse to get all fisticuffs with people. I'm not going to deny that. What I am going to deny is that every single fucking person who went in those protests was far right and looking for trouble. A lot of these people, as I've said before, are just concerned patriots and parents who, as I've said many times before, they don't want their kids getting stabbed in the face or the chest or wherever. Last time I checked, I think any parent would be completely against that notion. And I'm not even a fucking parent, and I'd be against that notion. And I'm probably one of the last people you would expect to like kids. I mean, I like them. It's hard to explain. Why is this not pausing? I'm not one of these people that's going to go around and do all manners of horrific things to children. I don't like children at all. And that's mainly because of my past, how I've grown up, and I was bullied in school for 8 years. I'm not really a big fan of kids, generally speaking. But I understand the need to protect them. I understand the need to protect our children from the evils of the world. I understand the need to look after your kids, and why parents would literally burn themselves to death to protect their kids, or take a bullet, or several, to protect their kids. God rest that firefighter, Rory Comparator? I can't remember off the top of my head. It was Comparator, I knew that much, but I think it was Rory. But anyway, the point is, I understand why people love their kids, don't want anything to happen to the kids, because they're the most defenseless fucking things other than babies to walk this planet. I'm not a big fan of kids myself, but I completely understand the sentiment of protecting them. And what Kier the Traitor Starmer has done is he's tried to alienate those who would want to be for the kids. He would rather have Islam have their horrendous ways with those kids, which is something, of course, the mainstream media are not going to want to tell you. Why else do you think Labour covered up these grooming gangs? Why do you think the police covered up the grooming gangs? Why do you think the media wanted to cover up the grooming gangs, and in particular Jimmy Savile? You know, the biggest tiny Coccosaurus Rex that this country has ever seen. And then, of course, we have Hugh Edwards, who's basically Jimmy Savile II in a nutshell. But they're trying to downplay it. He's not a bad person. No, he is another tiny Coccosaurus Rex. Let's get that fucking shit right. Because here's the thing, as I said before, I'm not going to sugarcoat a motherfucking thing. I'm not going to mince my words. And I'm going to say things exactly how I see them. And I will do my best not to bullshit you. And what I see, as I said, they're building up with Elon Musk, with all these libelous, slanderous cases, the fact they call him names, the fact that they want his platform cancelled, or they want to ban X in general. And I won't be surprised, as I said, if they go for an international arrest warrant, quite frankly. Because then they'll have the man. They'll have the man that controls X. And what do you think they're going to want to do when they capture him? Clink. Lock him in, throw away the key, but before they do that, they'll get him to shut down X. That's my humble opinion. I think that's what they're planning to do. Or they may strike a deal with him and say, we will drop these charges against you if you turn off X. And that will be the biggest test for Elon Musk in his entire life. Does he be a man of principle, plead not guilty to the charges, and keep X up as a man of integrity and a man of decency who will not cow to the words of traitors and political Stasi? or does he bend the knee? I honestly think that's what's going to happen. I could be wrong on this. I probably will be wrong on this. But you know what? As I said, it's my subjective opinion. Fucking sue me, left-wing media. I think they will do everything they can to hunt this man down, get him arrested, get him to go on X, and shut the whole thing down. As I said in a previous video, when freedom of speech dies, so does what little democracy we have left. That's the way I look at it. What do you think is going to happen the moment Kier the Traitor Starmer closes down what platform the British people, in fact any people, pretty much rely upon to get alternative media outside of YouTube? He's going to have free reign to do whatever he fucking wants as a dictator. Dictator. Or maybe I was right first time. He will have free reign to be able to spoon feed bullshit down the British people's throats. It's up to us to basically either make sure it doesn't go in or spit it out if it does. And as for the NPCs, it's down to them. They can swallow it up if they want, or they can be like us, spit the bullshit out, cut the bullshit, and say it how it is. We need more people who've got the balls, whether up here or down there, or in my case both, to be able to stand up to traitors like Kier the Traitor Starmer and tell him to fucking jog on. We will not surrender our human right to be able to speak out. Because at the end of the day, broadcasting facts and saying things that may have differing opinions and reactions, shall we say, to hither or whether, that should not be illegal. Like, if somebody comes up to me and says, "Oh, look at you, you fat fuck," I might be a little insulted. But I'll tell you what I won't do, I won't be ringing the fucking police. Because at the end of the day, he has his right to freedom of speech. Likewise, if I go up to somebody and call them I can't even get the words out now, like a lanky motherfucker, I'm not going to expect them to call the police on me and have me arrested. Because it's my opinion. Is it an insult? Yes, it is. Is it illegal? No. Should slurs be illegal? Absolutely. Like, if you call someone the N-word, or if you are libelously slandering someone as a nonce when they're not, then yeah, you should be arrested for that shit, because you're basically damaging their reputation. That's the way I look at it. Elon Musk should not be getting persecuted for giving people a platform for which they can stand upon and speak. I hate a lot of left-wing politicians. I hate a lot of the NPCs on the left. I will fight them tooth and nail on their opinions. But I will defend to the death their right to speak out. Because, think about it. Once it's happened to the supposed far right, what do you think's stopping them from going after the far left? Or moderate left? Or moderate right? Or even people in the centre of politics? Nothing. That's what's left. What this is effectively, I'm going to have to use a razor for this, lacking a hammer. Anyway, what this is basically they're trying to knock down the barriers. Knock down the barriers of free speech and dictatorship so that they can push through their laws and make it so we're not allowed to have a say. That's what it boils down to. This is what Kier the Traitor Starmer wants. And I think he will stop at nothing to achieve this. I know, deep down, he is pushing us towards civil war and a violent revolution. That's what Kier the Traitor Starmer wants. And I know there are people who are going to say we mustn't give him what he wants. The trouble with that notion is, and let me be absolutely clear before I go any further, I am not advocating for violence. I am not advocating for a violent revolution or civil war. I am not advocating for people to break the law. But what I will say is that When you have a rat that's backed into a corner, even a cornered rat will show its fangs when it's threatened. Even a cornered rat will fight back when he realizes he has no other option but to fight. That's what it boils down to. The British people are increasingly feeling like they are that cornered rat. Only there's a lot more than just one rat. And it's more like there's thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, perhaps even millions of British bulldogs who are ready to show their teeth and start biting legs, metaphorically speaking, of course. There are people who have had enough, who feel like they have no other option, and they will resort to it. And I don't condone it, but I'll completely understand why they go down that route. This approach to go after Elon Musk is not going to go the way Kier the Traitor Starmer thinks. It's like Tommy Robinson, basically. If you get rid of Elon Musk, you're not proving your point is right, you're proving you're afraid of what Elon Musk is doing or saying. You're showing that you're afraid of freedom of speech. That's what it comes down to. You lock him up, and our voices and his voice is going to become 100 times louder. Like, we're going to literally blow the glass out, metaphorically speaking, as far as our houses are concerned. Our voices will get that fucking loud. Like, this pane of glass will just shatter, and any poor sod underneath is probably going to feel it. But that's the point I'm trying to make here. You're not going to silence us. You're not going to silence Tommy Robinson. You're not going to silence Elon Musk. You're not going to silence concerned parents and patriots who want their kids to grow up in a safe country. All you're going to do is make their voice even louder. But let's say, for the sakes of argument, you are successful in getting a civil war or a violent revolution. Let's say, for the sakes of argument, you are successful in getting your wish, Kier the Traitor Starmer. Let's say you get your wish of locking up Tommy Robinson and Elon Musk, and they both get killed. Just like that, revolution. And you will wish you hadn't. You will honestly wish you hadn't. You'll try to call the army in, but there's far more of us than there are of you. And a lot of those army people will see the corruption, the treachery you're pushing. And I think a lot of them will turn their guns to you. You may think this is what you want, Kier the Traitor Starmer. I guarantee you, be careful what you wish for. Because if you try this, and you do take away the people's voice, what are they left with other than violent revolution?